Welcome to The Kingdom, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics and a land defended by Sir Ross's Knights. Now here's your host, Rocco Geppi.
Hello, CCBC Essex faithful. I'm Rocco Geppi here for Season 3 of The Kingdom podcast. And it is time. We've waited nearly a year to say it. Sports are back. To celebrate, we're beginning our third season, and we're going to get kicked off with the men's lacrosse season preview as I sat down recently with Shawn Burke to discuss the Knights lacrosse team. So here's my interview with head coach Shawn Burke here on the Kingdom Podcast. Hello, Knights Nation. Rocco Geppi here for the Kingdom Podcast, and I am with head men's lacrosse coach Shawn Burke to go through the 2021 season preview. Shawn, welcome, and thanks for joining me.
Rock, thanks. We're excited for the year coming up. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And we'll jump right in here for you. I know you're a busy man. Your first stint as head coach, you were here from 2009 through 2016, multiple regional championships, trips to the National Final Four, and 3 national runner-up finishes. I know some things have changed, but what did you take from that first go-round that you're applying now that you're here for your second stint?
Right. That's a great question. I think probably what we take is just the format of the program that we try to run, hasn't changed. And I think, we're trying to carry a lot of the things that we did successfully then into the second run. And, kind of with the idea that if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think the one thing we've always tried to keep in mind is that, you win with good people, both as coaches and players. And we have a really good staff of men that are, number one, great people, and number 2, really good lacrosse coaches. And I think we've been able to bring in a good group of young guys that that fit that same criteria for sure.
It's definitely very important to have folks like that you can trust and depend on, especially, given the circumstances we're getting ready to talk about now. Recruiting, you came in last spring. Obviously, not just the college seasons, but the high school seasons had been halted due to COVID-19. So things were a little bit different. How challenging was that to recruit, and how did you and your staff attack it and adjust to that new environment?
Obviously it's like no recruiting season we've ever had, and hopefully we won't ever have again. Obviously we had to, we had to make good use of technology. I think we were pretty proactive early on, jumping on, a lot of Zooms with players and parents and introducing ourselves. And, we had a lot more information to kind of disperse since we were coming back to the program and helping folks, understand what we were all about and what our staff was going to be all about. So I think that was the challenge. But it was, I think when you coach long enough, you take those challenges like that as opportunities. And I think, we looked at it that way as a positive, as a chance to, to have a different challenge and something that we took it upon ourselves to try to make the best of and overcome. And I think the assistant coaches just did a phenomenal job with hunting down prospects and forming relationships quickly and reestablishing a lot of relationships that we had previously. So it was a challenge, but I think it was also in a unique way, it was very rewarding as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely unlike anything anybody has ever had to deal with in the history of sports. And we'll talk more about the recruits later on. Right now, looking at things on the surface, folks just kind of saw that Shawn Burke was gone from this level of coaching over the last 4 years. But that was just it. It was this level. Obviously, you were coaching high school club lacrosse. What did you take away? What were the biggest takeaways in your 4 years gone from JUCO coaching that you feel are going to be very helpful to you now?
I don't know so much. It's what I learned. Probably more. It gave me a different perspective on coaching at this level. I was lucky enough to be at Towson for a couple of years with a great athletic director there, and spent last year, shortened the year back at my alma mater, Calvert Hall, and obviously a great program there. Brian Pelly does an awesome job and their staff. So I tried to pick up things from both places. But I think the thing that that I realized most being away was how much I missed working with our student athletes and playing a key role in helping them move on to the next level. I think our first run here, we were pretty darn successful in helping guys move on to four-year schools and a lot of the top programs around the country. And quite honestly, I missed that being away. I missed having such an impact on those guys on the field and off the field and helping them reach their goals. So I think that's the thing that's been most exciting for me is getting back involved in the outgoing recruiting. We have a couple guys already committed and probably another handful or more that are getting ready to make commitments to four-year schools. So that's probably the thing that I realized that I missed the most.
To go off script here for a second to speak to that point, obviously a lot of your former student athletes now are in the coaching ranks, whether at the high school level or at clubs or college programs. Talk about a couple of those guys that are kind of laying their own coaching foundations that you had a chance to mentor along the way here at Essex.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the best part of coaching here, and the thing that I'm most proud of is kind of the coaching tree that we've established. Neil Hutchinson, who played for us here at Essex, is the offensive coordinator for the men's lacrosse team at Harvard University, which is obviously a very quality school and program. We've got guys. Travis Crane, one of our former players and a captain and All-American, is the defensive coordinator at Ohio State. Kevin Doherty, who another former defenseman for us that I'm really psyched about. We just got him into coaching in the last year or two, and already he's the defensive coordinator at D1 BMI down in Virginia, which is outstanding. And then we've got a bunch of guys that are coaching around the country. Justin Gordon is down at St. Mary's, and Joe Peruzzi, one of my former assistant coaches, is out at Lewis. Pete Pouillon, who I actually had at Howard, is the offensive coordinator at Marquette. I'm sure I'm missing some guys, and I apologize to whoever I missed. Blake McDonald is out at Davenport, and so we've got guys all over the country that are coaching. Tyler Oblong just took the head coaching job at Melbourne Central Catholic in Florida. So there's nothing better than seeing those guys move on and follow their passion, and knowing that hopefully you had a small part in that. I love when they call to get some advice or just to catch up. It is my favorite part of what we do for sure.
Yeah, and I know some folks watching this preview right now might be asking themselves, well, what the heck does this have to do with the spring preview? But the point I think that both of us are trying to make is that, men's lacrosse here is not just spring 2021. It's forethought and thinking about the future of our student athletes. And, just want to make sure we drive that home so folks know what the ultimate goal, the ultimate prize is when they play here.
Yeah, I mean, I think our goal as a staff is not necessarily to come back and have a great team this year. I mean, obviously that would be great, but our goal is really, have a great program here that helps guys move on beyond Essex and reach their goals, whether it be playing or academically or professionally. I think that's really back and kind of get that, kind of reestablish that, and I think we're off to a good start, but we want to be here for the long haul, and we want to be a program that the alumni and the campus and the faculty can be proud of what we're doing with our guys.
Definitely. Now let's move on and let's talk about some of those young men here on this year's team. What can you tell us about the returners? Let's start there with them because we do have a good amount of student athletes returning to the team.
Yeah, we do. We have some, really good players returning from Coach King's team last year that have done a nice job in the preseason. Josh Skelfie, is the first name that pops to mind. Josh is a captain for us. Probably our most consistent offensive player in the preseason. Has played some midfield, played some attack, and has been a real leader as a captain for us. Jake Lance has been, very similar kind of guy on the defensive end, a goalie for us from Eastern Tech High School here in Baltimore County. Jake was also voted a captain. He's been a real leader for us back there. And then I think, you have some other guys that have kind of stepped up. Al Gunther, coming off of an injury loss last year. had a really good year the year before. He's had a really good preseason for us at attack. And then the other guy that I think that, probably goes under the radar a little bit, to people that aren't coaches is Noah Park. We have moved Noah to a short stick defensive midfield position, and he's taken it and run with it. Has been a real leader and a lockdown defender on the defensive half. So, we've had a good group of returning guys, and they've really bought into anytime you have a coaching change, right, there's different ways to do things, and coaches do things differently. And sometimes that can be challenging for the players. But I think the returning guys as a whole have really bought in, and their attitude's been great.
Definitely. Now talk about some of the newcomers and the transfers which you have there overall, and then transitioning from the returners, how they're mixing together right now.
Yeah, we have a lot of new guys. I think we have 26 new players on this year's team, so it's a lot of new guys. Probably starting at attack, Patrick Ruffalo, who's a freshman from Virginia, was an all-state player, has done really well, kind of been a quarterback down there for us. In the midfield, we have probably our deepest position. Jaden Castillo is a freshman from Towson High School. Was a first-team All-County player, and lost his senior year. Would have been a high school U.S. Lacrosse high school All-American type of candidate in Baltimore County. So he's had a good fall and early spring. Braden Allen, who's a transfer from Roanoke, has also had a really good preseason, as well as Will Schmidt, who's a transfer from Mount St. Mary's. Those three guys have really kind of led us early on at the midfield. And then I would say at the long stick midfield spot, two guys, actually a returning guy, Jimmy Jackson, is converted to playing lone pole midi and has really been like a fish in water since he's done it. Nick Woodard is a freshman All-American from North Stafford, Virginia. He's been excellent in the preseason. And then down low, we've had a group of transfers that have kind of stepped up. Caleb McNall, who's a guy that was slated to go to Gettysburg, and then when COVID hit, changed his plans, and he just came in the spring. Caleb's been excellent, an All-American type of candidate, I think, for us. Gunnar Covell, who was a recent transfer from Queens, has been excellent on the defensive end. And then Gavin Bloom, who is also a transfer from Howard Community College, has been really good. And then finally, I would say, Pierce McGinn, in the goal, has done a great job in the preseason. He's a transfer from NJIT, Division I school. Pierce has done a really good job. So, a lot of new faces on this year's team. And I think they've done a great job of, merging together with the returning guys. We have a new staff, a lot of new faces. So there's a lot of things new this year. And with not having the fall that we normally have, it's definitely been a challenge to sort of get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, again, those COVID challenges, and I know we hear probably more than once a week from our athletic director, Greg Wickup, the controllables. We can only control what we can control. And that's come kind of a mantra or a sub-mantra to a lot of the teams this semester.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's created challenges for everybody, and we're no different than anybody else.
Definitely good, exciting talent that we're all looking forward to watching. Recently, you guys hit the Eastern Shore for a pretty exceptional scrimmage against Salisbury. That's looking like they're going to be an NCAA Division III team to be reckoned with this year. We saw the news they took down Drexel. A lot of fifth-year COVID seniors, I guess we're calling them. But it sounded like in our conversations, you came back pretty happy with how that scrimmage went. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's, I think we're going to look back at this 5 years from now and say, geez, Coach Burke, first scrimmage back after being away and coming out of a pandemic, and he had to schedule, what might be one of the best Division III teams in the history of the sport. But I think it was good for us. We definitely had our challenges, going against their starters in the first half. I think they were just excellent, extremely talented. Like you mentioned, they had scrimmage Drexel the day before. It was a Division I program and a really good one, and kind of took it to them. So we knew we were going to have our hands full, but I was really happy with how our guys responded throughout the day and kind of like caught their breath and set their backs a little bit and really started to play better as the day went on. And, for a team that, a team and a coaching staff that's never played an outside opponent together, this was the first. It was definitely a unique opportunity and one we couldn't turn down. And, we're really appreciative of Coach Berkman for having us down. I think over the years, Essex and Salisbury have had a great relationship, and we've sent a lot of great players down there, and hopefully we'll start doing that again, soon. So I think all in all, it was a good day. Taught us a lot about things we needed to improve, but also showed us some things we do pretty well and some guys that kind of stepped up and rose to the occasion. So it was a good starting point, and we're excited to get the season started.
That's great. It's always good when you can take something good out of that. It's especially a team that you were facing down there, but you have a job to do, and the job is to use that game to get better and get prepared for the season. So glad to hear that there's definitely some positive to take out of it.
Absolutely.
So final question before we get you out of here, Coach. Just talk about what are your expectations for this team? What do you think at the end of the year, looking back, sitting there with your assistants and to be able to say we had a successful season? What does that success entail? What are those expectations?
I mean, I think what we always try to do is we try to focus on the process more than the result. So I think we talk to our guys a lot about being process oriented and not focus on so much the end game or the end of the season, but focus on our goal is our number one goal is to come out on Tuesday and have a great practice and improve from our scrimmage over the weekend, and then Wednesday, our goal will be the same way. So it's a little cliche, but it's very true, and I think it's the way we approach it and the way we try to hammer. We try to hammer that into our players, and I think that way they can focus on what it actually takes to improve from a daily basis and not get too far ahead of themselves. So I think if we can look back at the end of the year and we can say that we set the tone for what the program, what we want it to look like. We set the expectations for what is expected going forward. We continue to improve throughout the year and are playing our best lacrosse at the end of the year. I think we will all be satisfied with that for sure.
Some great stuff as always, Coach. Again, I appreciate you joining me. Welcome back. It's great to have you back here at the Kingdom, and we can't wait to see these young men out on the field for the first time this season.
Well, thanks for having me, Rocco. I really appreciate everything you do for athletics at Essex, and I know the guys really follow the podcast and the previews and the social media, and our fans and alumni do as well. So thanks for everything you do.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. There he is, folks. Head men's lacrosse coach, Shawn Burke. Keep an eye on things with men's lacrosse, ccbcessexknights.com. Coming up, the first game of the season against Potomac State of West Virginia University on March 10th at 6 p.m. Unfortunately, we are not having spectators, but go to youtube.com/CCBC Essex Knights. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will be streaming all of our home events this year on that YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe. You can get a notification when we go live. And keep an eye on us on Twitter and Instagram. Both handles the same, at CCBC Essex Sports. And for the men's lacrosse team on Twitter, they're at Knights_MLax. On Instagram, Essex Knights Lax. For my friend Shawn Burke, I'm Rocco Geppi. We're going to step aside for a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back here on the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics.
Let's talk about college.
Times have changed.
We've changed.
I refuse to accept an education that comes with a mountain of crippling debt.
No longer will I stay stuck in a job because college has no time for me.
I will not confuse a fancy name for a quality education. Sorry, Pops.
Let's talk practical.
Let's talk flexible.
Let's talk smart education.
Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online at ccbcmd.edu and see what you can be.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for listening to Season 3, Episode 1 of the Kingdom Podcast, the 2021 Men's Lacrosse Season Preview. My thanks again to head coach Shawn Burke for joining me and giving us some insight into this year's squad. Not a lot has changed in his approach, always thinking about the student athletes and their future, more so than the wins and losses. Even though those are important, it definitely comes second to the lasting impact the program can have on the lives of so many young men that will come through here and have come through in the past. That's all the time we have for this episode. I thank you for joining us. As I said in the interview, make sure you follow us on social media, especially our YouTube channel. No spectators, at least for the start of the season. However, every single night's home game will be broadcasted at youtube.com/CCBC Essex Knights. Again, that's youtube.com/CCBC Essex Knights. You can also keyword search CCBC Essex Knights and find us that way on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle is at CCBC Essex Sports, and you can find us on Facebook as well. And check us out online too. Make sure you stop by the website every now and then, ccbcsexknights.com, to stay updated on all the Knights news and information, things happening around the kingdom. Once again, I'm Rocco Geppi. Thank you for joining us. I hope you'll come back for our subsequent episodes. Until then, so long and stay safe.